Stepping away from trigonometric functions, we're going to get into some very basic and simple stuff here before we move on to something a bit more heavy. We're not going to get into anything super advanced, and towards from now to the end of the trig crash course here, it's going to be very simple things. The only complex we're going to get is when we get into volume and maybe cross sections. But we're going to focus on perimeter of shapes. So when we were in middle school, elementary school, we asked to get perimeters of basic shapes like a rectangle. Or we asked to get the perimeter of things like a square. Now when you get the perimeter of a square, you typically, well, first of all, let's start with a square here since it's most simple out of them all. Typically a square means all sides are even. So let's use some geometric symbolism here. So this side's even, that side, that side. This means that all these sides marked with the same symbol, these are all the same sides. So if this was x, this has to also be x, and so does this, and so does this side. So for example, I hope this is obvious, and I probably don't have to explain this a lot, but if this is 5, this must be 5, and this must be 5, and this must be 5. Now, to get perimeter of a square, we can just say 4 times a, where a is equal to the side length, and that applies to a square. And here, let me label this accordingly. Well, my eraser's a bit big here. Let me label this accordingly. So A, so we don't get confused. And rectangles are also easy. We've done these in middle school. And typically this is just 2 times A plus 2 times B. And we know that this side and this side are the same. This side, those aren't the same. And this side, and this side are the same. These two sides are the same. The parallel lines are the same lengths here. Or the parallel segments, I should say, because they're not lines. So we're going to say this is A and this is B. So this must be A and this also must be B. So we know that 2 times A, this A and this A added together. So 2 times this plus 2 times this, since we have 2 B's and 2 A's, that is equal to P, or perimeter. I should probably state that here. So this is just basic perimeter. We've done this in elementary school. It's stuck with us basically our whole lives, I hope, at least. It's very simple. But sometimes we encounter a bit different shapes. And perimeter is a very easy, basic concept. But let's look at something a bit different here. Let's look at this pentagon. We're going to say this is a regular pentagon. And if you don't remember what a regular pentagon means, that means everything's equal, right? It's basically, you could say, an equilateral pentagon. If that makes sense. I don't even think that's a term. I'm sure it is, though. Which, if this is a regular pentagon, that means that side, this side, this side, this side, and this side are all the same lengths. These are all the same lengths. So every side and angle are the same. So let's say you know the side of this. So let's say we're going to say this is 3 centimeters. Well, how are you going to find the perimeter? Well, remember, the perimeter isn't the area, which, remember, this is the area, this part that I scribbled in there, that's the area. We don't want to find that. The perimeter is just basically adding all the sides of the shape together. It's like the outer edge of the shape. That's what the perimeter is. It's that total length. All of the sides added together. Well, since this is a regular pentagon, we know that all of these sides are the same length. So if this is 3 centimeters, this also must be 3 centimeters. This must be 3 centimeters. And this must be 3 centimeters. This also must be 3 centimeters. And based off of this, well, we know that the pentagon has 5 sides. So we could just say 5 times 3, because we have, the side length's 3, and we have 5 side lengths that are 3. And this is equal to the perimeter, which 5 times 3 is equal to 15. And we're going to say centimeters, because that's the unit of measurement here. Another important bit of information is that perimeter deals with linear units. And What I mean by that is linear as in it's raised to the 1 power here. So we're dealing with, when you get perimeter, it's just basically taking all the side lengths and just making a straight line out of it. So basically, let's say this is a straight line. And basically, if I took this pentagon and I cut right here and where it's separated and I just stretched this out and made one long line segment, it'd look a little something like this. And if I were to, it's not the best, but that's what I can do. So now we have 5 side lengths. So this is a side length, and I should probably just do 3. That's a side length, that's a side length, that's a side length, that's also a side. But they're all in one straight line. So that's the perimeter. And I hope that's quite obvious, and I'm sure I don't have to explain that. But if anybody forgot for whatever reason, and it's okay if you did, or maybe you got this confused with something, this is what perimeter is. And the reason why we deal with static units is because you wouldn't say this is 15 centimeters squared. When you have something squared, you're dealing with area. When you have just cm, or just your units to the 1 power, and typically you could just say u, this just is the universal symbol here, u, which is short for units in most standard cases. So it's your unit to the 1st power. It's linear because you're not getting area, which would be squared units, and then volume is cubed units since you're dealing with 3D. A way I like to think about it is if you're dealing with perimeter, you're dealing in 1 dimension. So it's going to be whatever your unit is, so unit to the 1 power. Your exponent is like how many dimensions you're dealing with here. That's the way I think about it. If you're dealing with area, you're dealing with 2 dimensions. So it's whatever your unit is to the 2nd power. This, we're in 2 dimensions. The exponent is how many dimensions we're in. And then if you're dealing with volume, it's going to be whatever your units are to the 3rd power, since we're dealing in 3 dimensions. That's the way I think of it. Now we can do one more example here before we wrap things up. So let me go in here and erase all this and wrap things up here. Let's do a different shape. Let's do a star. So we have our nice star here, and we're gonna say we're gonna be a bit different here. So we're gonna say these side lengths are the same, and these side lengths are the same. But then we're going to say these 2 side lengths, these sides here are different. So how would I deal with this? So we know that this side length here, from here to here, and from here to here, we know those 2 sides are different, or they're the same, but they're different from here to here since they're identified with different symbols. One has 2 dashes and one has 1 dash to symbolize 2 different two sides with different lengths or values. So let's say we have this side is 3 centimeters and then this side's 3.5 centimeters. So how are we going to find the area or the perimeter of this? Well, it's actually very simple, and I'm sure you guys have figured this out, but I'm just going to do this anyway. So first of all, we have 3 centimeters, so we're going to do 3 centimeters times, and then we're going to count how many sides are 3 centimeters. So since we know sides with a single dash is 3 centimeters, we're going to count how many sides with a single dash there are. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 sides that are 3 centimeters long. So 3 times 8. And this is equal to 24. So 24 centimeters, since that's the unit we're dealing with. But then we're not done. We haven't got the full perimeter. We have 2 other sides that are different lengths. So we have the sides with 2 dashes, and we have 2 of them, are 3.5 centimeters. So we can say 3.5 centimeters times, and then since we have 2 sides with 2 dashes on it, we're going to say times 2. And this is equal to 7 centimeters. And then we're just going to take these 2 numbers and we're going to add them together. So 24 plus 7 is equal to 31. And then we know perimeter is equal to 31 centimeters. And that is the introduction, or really not an intro because there's no other video after this, but that is perimeter.